continuing. Tension may be felt in the outside of the knee and outside of the hips, as well as the back of the knee. Stretch the arms up as high as possible, with palms facing forward. Pull the abdominal muscles in deeply without changing your breathing pattern. Bend forward and touch your toes. If you're unsuccessful, squeeze the towel roll slightly to relax the muscles in the outer thigh and back. If you still can't reach the toes, bend the knees slightly for the first repetition. Return to the starting position, keeping the heels on the floor. Try to bend the knees a little less with each repetition as you attempt to touch the toes. Do 10 to 12 repetitions. For phase 2 of the toe touch, elevate the heels on a 1 to 2 inch platform. The toes should be on the floor. Insert a towel roll or foam roll between the knees without changing foot position. Repeat the toe touch movement. Bend the knees less with each repetition until they can be held in a nearly straight position. At no time during the exercise should the knee hyperextend or the foot position change. You should be comfortable touching your toes before starting the next exercise. This exercise progression is one of the quickest ways to teach the necessary muscle coordination for deep squatting. With the heels on a 1 to 2 inch platform, spread the feet shoulder width apart or even wider. Bend forward until the palms are flat on the floor. If this is not possible, use a 2, 4, or 6 inch platform to help you reach this flat position. Without moving the hands or changing the foot position, slowly move into the squat position with the knees going to the outside of the elbows. If it's hard to control this foot position, spread the knees further apart or widen the feet slightly. At all times, the feet are pointed straight ahead. Once the squat position is comfortable, raise the arm as high as possible and turn the head. Keep the spine long and tall throughout the entire movement. Take 8 to 9 seconds to raise the arm, 2 to 4 seconds to hold the stretch, and 8 to 9 seconds to return to the platform. Repeat on the other side. Identify which side is tighter and work on it 3 times more than the other side. Once this movement is about equal on both sides of the body, proceed to the next phase of the exercise. In phase 2, begin in a deep squat position. Raise the hands in a Y position, taking them as far back and up as possible. Maintain balance and keep the lower body completely relaxed. There should be no change in foot, hip, or knee position. Now stand out of the squat. Perform 10 to 12 repetitions of this movement, gradually reducing the platforms until both heels and palms are on the floor. Use these stretches as a warm-up and cool-down, or make them part of your workout for 1 week and retest. The purpose of the hurdle step screen is to assess the bilateral mobility and stability of the hips, knees, and ankles. The feet together and a dowel rod placed across the shoulders. Align the front edge of the toes directly beneath the tape. Slowly step over the tape and touch the heel to the floor without putting weight on it. After touching the floor lightly, return to the starting position. Try not to touch the tape as you move the foot over and back. Perform the hurdle step on each side and give yourself a passing grade only if all three criteria are met on both sides of the body. Hips, knees, and ankles aligned forward. The dowel doesn't dip to the left or right or touch the doorway, and there is little movement in the spine. If you're unable to complete the movement within the criteria provided, you receive a fail for the movement. Take up to 3 chances per side. If you failed, practice the following exercises. When performing these hurdle exercises, focus not only on the area being stretched, but also the area that is holding the body stable. Stand next to a table or a bench that is mid-thigh height. Place one foot on top of the table or bench and the other on the floor with the heel flat. Slightly bend the knee of the leg on the floor, and also bend the knee of the elevated leg as much as possible. The feet should be in line and pointing forward. Keep the spine erect and bend the knee of the lower leg, lengthening the stride between the left and right leg. Pull in the abdominal muscles and breathe normally. Hold this stretch for 20 seconds and then return to the start position with both feet on the floor. Repeat the stretch 3 times. Staying balanced and relaxed are the keys to performing the stretch well. For a more advanced stretch, add a torso twist. When rotating the torso, shift your weight slightly and naturally. Hold the stretch for 20 seconds, return to the start position, and repeat the stretch 2 times. The tabletop hip stretch isolates the elevated leg. Place one leg flat on a table. To protect the elevated knee, place a towel between the lower leg and knee and the table. Keep the ankle in a neutral position or flex the foot as much as possible. If the knee doesn't lay flat comfortably, use a larger towel roll to support the leg. Adjust the position of the hip so that all the tension is in the buttocks and lower back. The thigh should be in line with the foot on the floor. Twist the torso toward the elevated hip using the arm to hold the stretch. Hold for 20 seconds, then return to the starting position. Repeat 2 times. Begin the standing quad stretch by standing on one leg and grabbing the opposite ankle. The knee should be flexed and pointed forward. Slowly extend the hip back and hold for 30 seconds. As you extend the hip, the knee should point downward. Learn to relax the thigh during the stretch. Hold for 30 seconds and repeat with the opposite leg. In the glute stretch, stand on one leg and pull the other knee to the chest. Hug the knee with both hands and squeeze the thigh toward the chest. Hold for 30 seconds, balancing and not letting the spine bend. Perform 8 to 10 repetitions on each side. If you have a right-left imbalance, do 2 more sets of 8 to 10 repetitions on the problem side. If not, do 2 sets on each side. Using a step, low bench, or table, assume a push-up position with the arms directly under the shoulders. Keeping the spine as long and straight as possible, bring a knee as close to the chest as possible and then straighten the leg, lightly touching the toe to the floor. Now bend the knee to greater than a 90-degree angle. The spine and non-moving leg should look like a straight line. If this causes a good stretch on the thigh, it's being done correctly. To make this exercise easier, increase the bench height. To make it more difficult, reduce the bench height. You can also make this exercise more difficult by adding a third movement, extending the hip without changing the back or other leg position. To increase the level of difficulty even further, remove the step or box and assume a push-up position on the floor with the hands directly below the chest and collarbones. Follow the same movement pattern. Other more difficult variations of this exercise include narrowing the stance or moving the hands forward on the floor. The elevated dip is the same as the mountain climber, but with the body position reversed. To increase the level of difficulty, straighten the arms. Perform the same movement pattern. Use these stretches as a warm-up and cool-down, or make them part of your workout for 1 week and retest. The purpose of the inline lunge screen is to assess hip mobility and stability, quadricep flexibility, and ankle and knee stability on both sides of the body. Minimal to no upper body movement, the feet remain on the tape, back knee touching the heel of the front foot, dowel not touching the wall, or not tipping left or right. If you're unable to complete the movement within the criteria provided, you receive a fail for the movement. Take up to 3 chances per side. If you failed, practice the following exercises. Begin this exercise by getting into a half-kneeling position. Place the heel of the front foot, hold a dowel rod across the shoulders, and twist in the direction of the front leg. Keep the spine as tall as possible and do not lean. Twist only as far as possible without losing the original leg position. Relax and hold the position for at least 20 seconds. Now twist toward the down leg. This move will be easier to do, but the position will be harder to hold. Hold the position for at least 20 seconds. There are a total of 4 positions with this exercise. Rotation right with right knee down. Rotation left with right knee down. Rotation right with left knee down. And rotation left with left knee down. Determine which positions are difficult to do and work them. Inline dowel lunge, stand with one heel touching the front end of the tape and the other foot touching the back end of the tape. Place the dowel behind the back as you see here. Lower the back knee enough to touch the tape behind the front foot. Keep the feet pointing straight throughout the movement. The purpose of the active straight leg raise screen is to assess stride flexibility while maintaining a stable pelvis and active extension of the opposite leg. Begin on your back with the arms at your sides, palms up, and head flat on the floor. The midpoint between the hip and the top of the bend of the knee should be in line with the front of the door frame. Curl-ups should be used only as a supplement to the leg lowering progression. Lie flat on your back with your arms over your head and toes pointed toward the ceiling. Bring the arms toward the legs, keeping the shoulder blades flat on the floor. Slowly lift the head so that the chin comes into contact with the chest. Leave the shoulders back and curl up the spine one segment at a time, hands reaching for the toes. Squeeze the knees and feet together and avoid raising the legs. If this movement is difficult, squeeze your legs together before continuing. This simple move will keep the legs out of the curl-up. Pull in the abdomen, flatten the back, and attempt the curl-up again. If this still presents difficulty, use a slight incline under the back until you can complete up to 12 repetitions. The purpose of the seated rotation screen is to assess upper trunk stability during a combined upper and lower body movement. Begin by sitting upright on the floor, back straight, with legs crossed. One foot should be on each side of the door jamb. Hold a dowel above the chest, touching your collarbones and the front of both shoulders at all times. With your back straight, rotate to each side, touching the dowel to the door frame. Avoid leaning toward the door or bending the spine in any direction. Give a passing grade if all three criteria are met. The dowel touches the wall, the dowel is level and in contact with the chest, and the spine remains straight and upright. If you're unable to complete the movement within the criteria provided, you receive a fail for the movement. Take up to 3 chances per side. If you failed, practice the following exercises. Begin this exercise by lying on your right side, flexing the left knee and hip at slightly greater than a 90-degree angle. Place the right knee on top of the left ankle to lock it into a rotated position. If necessary, use a ball or towel under the left knee for support. Rotate the shoulders to the left. Reach up and out with the left arm. Do not force the movement by trying to lay the shoulders flat on the floor. Now pick up the right arm and reach toward the ceiling. Do not move the lower body. Do not break contact between the left knee and the towel roll, ball, or floor. Maintain consistent pressure. Use the abs to further rotate to the left. Maintain pressure on the ball or towel throughout the movement.